Okay. Thank you all for joining our latest webinar. I'm Mike Schrobo, the head of marketing at Bitcoin IRA, and I'll be your host. Our goal here today is to share some of our key trends we're seeing in the crypto marketplace, discuss some of the top benefits of investing in crypto inside your IRA, talk about our new lower rates for 2020, and many other topics. Plus, if you stay until the end, I'll give you a code for 20% off discount on a new Bitcoin IRA account. The way this works is the presentation should last about 25 minutes with a short Q&A at the end. As we're speaking, you can ask your questions in the chat box below, and I'll try to answer them at the end. You'll also see an occasional poll on the right side that you can answer to help us understand a little bit more about you. If you look down in the chat box now, I'll provide you with our phone number in case you just want to speak to somebody at any point during this webinar. I'll also provide you with our website for just more general information. As a reminder, please don't look at this webinar as financial advice. We're simply here to help you educate you on what's happening in the crypto space so you can make your own informed investment decisions. With that said, I'd like to introduce you to our guests today. At first, we have Chris Kline, our COO and co-founder at Bitcoin IRA. Hey, Chris.
Hey, folks. I'm happy to be here and excited to share.
And second, we have John Candy, one of our senior VPs here.
Likewise, I'm very excited to be here.
Okay, let's kick this off.
Hey, before we jump in, John, I'm kind of thrilled. For 4 years we've been working together. We finally sat down and decided to share some of our conversations with folks.
I know.
It should be pretty exciting, hopefully valuable.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it. And these two charts illustrate, I think, the gravity and basically the differences between Bitcoin and some major asset classes. We'll start with the chart off to the left. The chart on the left illustrates specifically 2019 returns for Bitcoin, the S&P 500, and real estate. And it just jumps off the page when you look at the discrepancy in numbers. Bitcoin for 2019 was up 92%, more than 4x traditionally respected traditional financial instrument, the S&P 500, and the real estate market at plus 2.7%. Off to the right, we see 5-year returns, so we're looking at a bigger time frame and much of the same. In fact, the numbers are even more alarming.
I like how you said jumps off the page, because literally that break in that chart there is because of a 200% gain or 2,000% gain. So it would be leaping off of clients' monitors if we had to build the right chart today.
So here we have Bitcoin, again, the S&P 500 in the real estate market. You can see Bitcoin at plus 2,185%, followed by S&P 500 at a measly, really, when we're comparing it to over 2,000%, I can call 63% measly, and the real estate market at plus 35%.
Across 5 years, too. So I think it comes down to, you see these price jumps, I look at Bitcoin as just being better money. Would you agree?
I would agree. And the two things that my clients focus on and I think are very important are security, number one. Security, obviously, Bitcoin beats out gold, and it beats out the US dollar. It's not even close. And then portability. Those are the two things that jump off the page at me. What about you?
I'd have to say, for me, the biggest is scarcity. It's something that we don't quite understand because we haven't lived it in many generations. But to have something that has 21 million in fixed supply over time versus how many trillions of dollars are pumped out of the Federal Reserve every single month or year, or whatever it is they're doing these days. Scarcity is something that we don't see it until we understand that it was $20 to fill a grocery cart when we were kids. And now it's $20, doesn't even get you past the checkout line for extra add-ons.
That's right. That's a good point.
So then comes volumes out of it, right? You get a better product that's got better pricing and the things we're talking about, and it gets us into some of these levels. It's shocking. That's billions, right?
Yeah, and you can see some pretty heavy numbers here, especially if you look in the middle of the chart. Basically, from May of 2019 to July of 2019, we're well over 100 billion. But something else that I'd like to highlight, if you look and see all the different colors that are represented, those represent all the different exchanges. Okay,
a lot of players,
and more entering this space.
And unique to see a parallel. I think you pointed out that big peak in the summer of last year. Around April is when things started cooking a little bit, right before we hit about 13,000, right? And we're here looking at the tail end of this one, building up towards something. It should be interesting to see if those patterns repeat themselves.
I agree.
Now, OTC, big difference or big thing that people don't realize in this space, right? It's a function that's in all kinds of different financial instruments out there. But OTC is a pretty big chunk and a good indicator in the crypto markets. Tell us a little bit how that works.
Yeah, it's something that gets shunned or not paid attention to because, frankly, it's not disclosed in what you may see in a crypto compare or coin market cap 24-hour trade volume. OTC basically means that you're doing a trade in a more safe, secure way. And all the major players, all the major institutions, this is how they conduct trades.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's one of the ways we did it from the very beginning. It's a much smoother process for folks.
Absolutely.
So you get more trades on more exchanges, and you get a growing number of transactions, right? What I love about this one is it really starts to show those waves. A lot of people look at Bitcoin and crypto in general as very volatile, and that is true to a point, but it does also have some wave nature to it, as we've seen over time.
Oh, absolutely. And this graph, this chart, does an excellent job, I think, of illustrating just how quickly things can change.
Yeah, escalated quickly.
That escalated quickly.
Now, I think when you think about all these things, you also want to look at maturation of a market. If it's just out there being bartered, traded between people, it's kind of isolated in what it does, not a true financial instrument. When it starts growing as an industry, you see things like particular use cases, right? And this highlights one of those that's happening right now, which is the DeFi, which is decentralized finance, the programming of money for certain things like smart contracts, otherwise, which drives lending, secondary markets, those other components. About $1 billion locked up into that, and good to see that growth. Have you noticed interest in these parts of the niche market space?
100%. And as this market matures, like you said, you refer to it as growth. That's exactly what it is. As we get further and further down the line, you will see this number increase, and I think it'll increase pretty dramatically as we mature.
Makes sense. So big year ahead, right? Key events happening in 2020. Halving is a huge thing. A lot of folks don't appreciate. This is one of the I love about it. This is my thing. When I went going through and understanding crypto and getting under the hood, when I realized that we were curbing the reward, which thereby had it acted as a hedge to inflation versus every type of money that's out there today. Big difference, game changer. Want to talk a little bit about that and your knowledge?
Yeah, it's really a revolutionary concept, and it's quite impressive that this was built into a system, and this happens approximately every 4 years. And what happens essentially, not to get too confusing, but what happens is every 4 years, the mining rewards get cut in half. As they get cut in half, obviously supply decreases. If the demand is constantly increasing and a limited
rising.
Supply,
yep, pretty obvious supply demand curve right there.
Right.
Yeah, and then you couple that, which is a really unique characteristic of this type of sound money, with Ethereum 2.0, which is one of those programmable smart contract concepts of the chain that smart contract dApps are built on, other things. It's got a new version coming out, which includes staking. And staking is basically an ability to earn interest or stake in putting your coins to work in the network. Much cleaner process than often folks see as like lending your money out. I've seen a lot of ads about, do you know what your bank does with your money? This is where you're keeping it inside of the network for the good of the overall community. That coupled with obviously anything China does is huge, but I mean, they say the digital yuan with the 12th, 13th sovereign country, federal bank looking to crypto or tokenize its money. It sounds like it's definitely having an impact at that level.
No, absolutely. Very, very big deal. Anything China does gets noticed, and it gets noticed on a major level. So absolutely.
Yeah. And you got big brands. Obviously Facebook and Starbucks looking at this. Libra will bring crypto to the masses. Think about all those users and underbanked folks. Starbucks, I think, is part of a lot of different initiatives happening with Bakkt right now is one of the many pieces of that. So exciting to see big brands. Maybe Amazon will be out of that list here.
Could be.
Soon enough.
Could be.
So I think this is like the culmination of what we were just talking about, right? Like this is when you put A plus B and C together, it brings out a result that we're anticipating here. Talk a little bit about these curves that we're noticing from your buddy Peter Brandt. That's right.
Yeah. Peter Brandt is, as far as I'm concerned, based on his past forecasts and his track record. I mean, it doesn't get any better as far as a guy who knows his stuff and knows multiple markets. And this chart does a fantastic job of illustrating kind of where we've been in the past and where we're set to go based on historical performance. And as you can see, basically the parabolic rise from where we are currently is tremendous. I mean, we're talking, 5-6x
And that
from where we are today.
and that last curve, in case people are this getting is what in the 30 to 60, is that or 60 to okay, wow, okay, now I'm understanding this a little bit more the way that chart's working. Interesting. So definitely a lot of indicators pushing us towards this, and if history repeats itself again, these are the types of movements this marketplace makes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair enough. Great assessment. So I want to actually share this one to you. I didn't. This is one I added that you didn't bring in because you always are talking about modernizing your portfolio, right? You say that to me all the time, and I hear you talk to clients about it. And what you mean is visualized here is that for many years, my grandfather, great grandfather, you buy a few stocks, some bonds, a nice little mix, and generally everything is going to accrue over time and grow value. Use compounding interest, those things, all great tools, but today's day and age kind of drives us towards a need to get a little outside that box and modernize it. So what are some of the things you see folks modernizing their portfolios with today?
No, absolutely. So there's what's commonly referred to as alternative asset classes, not the traditional portfolio theory where it was tied up in maybe two different things. Now it's really important for clients to diversify amongst several different markets, and it's all well and good to keep money in the stock market, the bond market, whatever it is you're looking to do. But now we've expanded the model, right? We've expanded the model, and now clients are putting cryptocurrencies, clients are putting real estate, clients are adding precious metals, and whether that's 2%, 5%, 10%,
it's something off zero. It's some kind
Correct.
of exposure to it,
Correct.
to this brave new world, as we like to speak.
Correct.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. That was really, really helpful information. Just a reminder to all the folks that are listening, put some comments in the questions in the comment box below. We'll be sure to get to those at the end. With that, I'll go ahead and hand it off to Chris to walk us through how a Bitcoin IRA works.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Mike. And John, wonderful details there that really, I think, help bring value to clients over at Bitcoin IRA, which we've got 50,000 accounts nationwide now through our program. Pretty big, considering that back in 2015, we were building the pieces of this to come together to really, our goal was to become a place where folks could retire earlier, happier, faster, give them those modern options that they could make self-directed options into. I think now to date, since those meager beginnings, as you used earlier, about $400 million in transactions, not too shabby. And we've really grown in both our reputation because we do the things the right way. One of the few places you could talk to a human about crypto, as well as adding features like 24/7 trading and earning interest, insurance. It's a pretty exciting time over these last few years, putting that all together. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really remarkable to think that, where we started when we first started this whole thing, we had Bitcoin as the offering. And then we were constantly trying to evolve, constantly trying to meet our clients' demands. And now
they were tough.
And it was very tough, and it was a process. But here we are today with a 24/7 self-trader. We're slated to release a whole plethora of new products here in the next 6 to 12 months. So, I mean, to think where we started and where we are now, it's tremendous.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And I think that it's kind of at its foundation is we picked the right players to work with. One of the things that I'm really proud of is our official and exclusive third-party administrator relationship with Vicco, which grew over. We didn't just start that. We had to get to know each other. We had to get to trust each other. We had to review each other. There's a lot that comes to being able to offer $100 million of insurance to folks through that channel and true military-grade security. I mean, working with them and how we move coins and make changes, OTC is just the beginning of Treasury Management, and that's the real challenge of today's market space. And recognize anybody up there? I think possibly Lisa might be one of your accounts.
That's definitely one of my clients.
Well, good thing she was happy because we put her up there. I mean, not to toot our own horn, we kind of get a little bit of a cult product. Our clients are not just passionate about crypto, but they're passionate about the way we approach it, tools we put together. And I think really big thing is the service we offer as end to end, whether you're brand new, helping move funds over, getting your account approved. It's a full service experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think the testament is we're everywhere. I mean, not just because Mike and his team over there do a great job, but we've got something great to share. I remember Wall Street Journal back in early 17, and they were trying everything possible to make it a article that sounded like a bunch of nut jobs working on Bitcoin, but we came across as professionals that had done our homework and grew from there. CNBC, CoinDesk, The Block, a lot of great places we've seen ourselves highlighted.
I'd like to say something about that. So I was talking to a client the other day, and I was going through the list of just, the different news media outlets that we've been featured. And I was about 8 or 9 names into the list. And he's like, okay, I get it. You guys are it. I get it. Let's talk about security. And I was like, okay, well, I told you it was a long list. So
that's fair enough. It's a good pedigree. Might have to shorten that up. And so, I mean, then obviously when they start asking about security, we get into the functions of how it works, right? The goal was to have a turnkey solution. There's lots of out there that you can kind of piecemeal this whole thing together. But when you can just come to one place that's going to support you in moving and establishing a new account for you, getting it ready for trade and showing you the way to use trading at 1 a.m. or Saturday afternoon or any recent holidays we've had, you don't have to worry about being blocked out from the market space. Putting that all in a nice little custody package, right? So that you stay compliant and your IRA is still an IRA and having no issues or concerns. And then bringing that all full circle back to you in an easy login, right? We go in, your clients can see their portfolio changes, make changes to their account. It's pretty cool all-in-one type platform.
Absolutely. And I think too, to further your point, the dashboard is very seamless, very, very easy to navigate through. But if you need assistance as part of our service, we're glad to, set you up for success, make sure you can navigate through everything properly, make sure that you're comfortable.
Might even get to talk to John Candy, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Hopefully.
If you're lucky. I think what's really cool, you brought it up earlier, is the difference between where we've come from, because it's like we never stop evolving. I think we had just recently did a workshop with our internal family here and talked about our strengths, our secret sauces. And it kept coming up as consistently innovating, creating the path of destiny for a marketplace. Rarely do you get to do that in a space. And so just these recent ones that have been added on, you mentioned the trader, being able to see your history online, easy application. I think it's 3 steps now to get through, maybe a couple minutes, 4 minutes is like the average. Interest earning coming out, being able to make this in essence a free account. So you're offsetting your costs and your fees. I was really pumped about biometric. Remember when we put that out last year?
Yeah,
I think folks were pretty jacked about the level of security that was bringing to the table.
Absolutely. And I'd like to mention something here. So this took all these things, these things that we implemented, these things to make the client experience better, took years. Okay. So anyone who doesn't offer this stuff is basically years behind.
Yeah, I agree with you in that. And we see oftentimes groups coming out with, they have XYZ, but I remember the trader was almost over a year to 18 months and I got most of my gray hairs.
Thank you both so much. Appreciate the walkthrough of all the features. We just posted a poll right now on the right side. You see it there. And we're listing the features. Just tell us which ones are your favorites, which ones you've used previously, and that would be very helpful to us.
Ooh, this is the exciting part, right, Mike? This is what they came for.
This is the main part of the presentation. We really want to highlight the differences between an IRA account versus a cash account, and why an IRA account may be better for you. So, Chris, take it away.
So, first advantage of investing in Bitcoin IRAs is actually, John, I think this one's better suited for you.
So with everything that's going on, a lot of people that I speak to on a daily basis talk about an imminent stock market crash. They've been looking for that or waiting for that, and they see that as being right around the corner. Well, what better way to hedge against a potential outcome like that than to put some of your money that you have in a retirement account into this emerging asset class.
That's shown a pretty inverse correlation with a lot of those moments in time that we've seen in just its brief history.
Correct.
And number 2, my favorite, tax benefits. One of the things that people don't understand is a big difference. I think it was March in 17, first time I had talked about that $10 million mistake, and I was running around the office and people are losing millions of dollars. And if you look at what we did is we gave 2 folks the ability to buy, I think it was like 5,000, and do 4 synonymous trades, all the same. But the difference was when you sold your asset, you're susceptible to capital gains taxes. Correct. If you're not in this IRA umbrella. And when they did that, they lost that purchasing power on the other side. You had to scrape off 15%. That's less cash you got to put back in on the next rebuy into the market, which really, I mean, sometimes it was like 50, 60 Bitcoin that were worth 20,000 at one point. So the big difference of putting it into a tool that the government gives us to our benefit to start building long-term and thinking long-term.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a big one for me.
Me too.
You know,
those banks.
I can't stand the $35 late charge. I can't stand the whatever fees that they come up with. They've thought it all through, but at the end of the day, the fees are extremely annoying. So to call them excessive would be an understatement. You know, with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, you kind of have the advantage or the opportunity to set up your own bank. So again, a revolutionary concept. We've never seen it before. Will it take time? Yes. But is it better than the banking system? If you ask me, yes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. And it's not just the bank's fees and those things, but what they carry and their bank holidays, things that you've seen happen in Greece. You're susceptible to some kind of central authority that could get between you and your money. It's pretty scary when you're thinking about the times we have today.
Very scary.
Privacy security, another big one for me, probably just second to the concept of scarcity when it comes to Bitcoin, is when you're dealing with, at one point in time, crypto was all about anonymity, privacy, and those things. And what we mean by this now is these transactions, they're state of the art, right? They ran off of cryptography. They're making it so that you're much more secure than US dollars can be. And it's backed by, or it's using this public blockchain technology, which is a public ledger. So you can feel a little bit more confident that you know what's going on behind the scenes here because it's consensus driven. And then security, as we've talked about throughout this whole thing, it's more portable. It gives you that sense of security in any system that you're in.
Right. And then return on investment, obviously, just, you know, from the first slide, the first two charts, it was
the broken chart, right?
Yeah, the broken chart. It was painfully apparent that this asset class, specifically cryptocurrency, was the best performing asset class, and what really wasn't close
for 5 years running, and CNBC still doesn't say anything about it. Well, I'm sure that there's folks that's got some great questions before we jump into those with Mike. Want to make sure if you're ready to go, if this sounds like something you're interested in, you can easily log into bitcoinira.com. There's great buttons that'll tell you to get started. That's where you can go and do a 3-step process. It says here under 3 minutes. I believe that it's pretty rapid. We worked on it for a long time. Then we have a whole team of experts going to help you move the money because banks hate giving up money. It doesn't matter which one it is. You're going to need a little bit of assistance, and we got pros to make that seamless.
Absolutely.
Once we get those funds in, then it's up to you. You get to log in, like I said, Sunday morning, whenever it is, holidays, and make your choice of the cryptocurrencies you want in your retirement account.
Right.
Okay. Thank you both so much again. Just a reminder to our viewers, we will actually be emailing this to you after the event is over, so you can rewatch it in case you missed any of these wonderful facts. There's some questions that we see coming in, but before we do that, there's some sort of basic questions that a lot of people ask when they call into John. So I'd like to go through those here. And John, I'll start with the first one with you. What retirement accounts are eligible to be rolled over into a Bitcoin IRA?
Oh, that's a great question. So really, I mean, we work with IRAs, 401ks, annuities, pensions. Specifically, just in the IRA, I mean, there's a traditional IRA, there's a Roth IRA, there's a SEP IRA. We work with all of those. And we work, like I said, with annuities, pensions, with 401ks. I wouldn't say tricky, but if it's a current 401k, you have to be over the age of 59 and a half in order to touch those funds or have those funds eligible for rollover.
Or have left the job.
Correct.
So we get 401ks with certain companies, and then you may leave that company and work somewhere else. That usually opens it up.
That's eligible.
Always good to talk to a specialist and look at the ledger of your 401k ownership, and then you'll have a good idea of eligibility.
Right.
Great. This next question is, can I transfer in cryptocurrencies that I already own in a Bitcoin IRA, such as like in Coinbase?
We get that question a lot because a lot of folks are sitting in assets they've already purchased. What unfortunately, the way that it works is in order to contribute to an IRA and to get that tax benefit of it, it needs to be in US dollars. It's a parameter of the component. So in order to get something that's like at Coinbase, if you got one Bitcoin and you want to put your annual contribution of say $6,000, you'll need to time it right. We can get the amount set, the account set up, get you approved, ready to capture, trade ready very, very quickly, and just a wire is all we're waiting for. But you'll need to go into US dollars to come over into an IRA setting to begin with.
Great. John, what are the minimums, and are there any investment limits?
So this question's great because it makes me think of how inclusive we are as a platform. If you look at our minimum's $3,000. Okay. So we'll work with a $3,000 client, just like we'll work with a seven-figure client, and we cover everything in between. Okay?
Same security, same insurances,
same everything. As far as caps go, if you want to bring over $1 million plus, by all means, you can do that. In fact, I've worked with a client over $1 million. I'm currently working on a client that's even bigger than that $1 million. So there's no cap. There's no cap.
And that minimum is going to keep shrinking. The goal is to become more and more inclusive, because we don't want to leave any clients that are looking to open a new account, start a contribution program. There's some great things coming in the next year that are going to open that up even further.
And then this last question, I do see a lot of people writing in the comment box about the fees. So maybe Chris and John, you could chime in.
Yeah.
What are the fees for the program?
The easiest way to look at our fees is there's two types of them. There's a very nominal residual concept to this account because you have in a bank account. You have a trustee that is your custodian, and you have a wallet, which is best of breed, holding 20% of crypto out there today, which covers that $100 million insurance. They're relatively nominal. It works out to maybe about 60, 70 bips a year when you put it all together. On the other side, what helps put this program and everything that we offer to clients and our services and longevity of your account for the life of your account, everything that you're going to need, we put a upfront fee associated with getting in and using our platform. Now it's 3 tiers, John? Why don't you break that down for me?
Yeah, so really tiered out. The first tier is anything from $3,000 to $50,000. That gets processed with a one-time, not reoccurring, 12.5% fee. It's taken before the first trade. It's not taken when the money hits at Bitco, and there is a difference. Anything from $50,000 to $100,000 gets processed at 10%. And then once you reach the $100,000 level, up and above $100,000, you're looking at 7.5% as a one-time fee.
It's important. I heard you were telling a client the other day that it's like, imagine a 5-year hold. Most of our clients are hodlers, right? The famous term hodlers. So
Correct.
If you're looking at this across 5 years and you spread that 7.5%, 10%, getting it down to 2.5% per year for each holding period you have. And the interest program is designed to offset that, right? So the goal is that clients are hopefully going to be getting somewhere between 2 to 5% in the beta program. That's going to offset and hopefully pay you to have an account, because you're getting it in the asset that is invested. So you're getting it in kind as crypto.
Yeah. And really we've devised, you, Chris, we're really responsible for this 2 ways of earning. One is through our interest-bearing accounts that's coming shortly. And obviously 2 would be through the value of your account tied to whatever cryptocurrency you select.
Yeah, great way. 2 ways of earning. Thanks, John.
Okay, I'm going to try and group all the questions that folks asked here into sort of a couple common questions. The first one comes from Mark. Mark says that he's seen some potentially similar programs offered elsewhere on the web.
Oh, yeah.
One in particular he's mentioning is some sort of LLC model. Maybe you could explain the differences between how Bitcoin IRA works and that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. Those guys are still out there. The problems they ran into in servicing and otherwise. When we first, Mark, started this program, it wasn't intended to be a rubber stamp of documents and kind of send you on your way and hope you can handle everything. As we've talked about, it's turnkey. So you're going to be able to onboard, fund, trade your account, and service your account one place without much headache. We could have easily pumped out an LLC option, and we've even have an expertise in LLCs in the past. It just didn't fit crypto. Because you're putting somebody in a situation where they've got to manage so much. You got to be a doctor, not a lawyer, not a doctor, but definitely a lawyer,
might as well be a doctor,
an accountant, and maybe even a doctor for the heart attack you have when you can't find your cryptocurrency one day that's supposed to be in your IRA. So they're out there and they kind of come in to give you this low front end rate, but they don't really disclose the cost of having a bank account for the LLC, the residual cost to the state, registered agents. It can add up to thousands of dollars a year that you're paying as your account's growing when you really shouldn't be paying that much. Ours is the reverse of getting you in a turnkey solution versus the headaches that come with it. I'm sure you've ran into some clients that have looked at that, John, over the years.
All the time. And with the LLC model, what inevitably happens is
They come back.
They come back. They come back.
They get an
and
LLC.
that's as basic as it is, because that's what happens. And really with that model, if you haven't set it up before and you're not comfortable with it, it can be an extreme amount of headache, extreme amount of time invested, and you'll be paying more than what you initially thought, because at the end of the day, there's lots of hidden fees associated with that model.
Yeah. And it's security of beneficiaries. I think that's huge, because things happen, right? You could have an emergency accident, or something could happen to you where this is going to your beneficiaries very quickly. You maybe didn't have the chance to let them know that device that's in the safe is actually $1 million of crypto and not some old pictures from college on a ledger device, like on a thumb drive. And that's kind of what it looks like when you put them in these situations. So being able to know that if something happens to you, like for me, it's going to go straight to Carla, straight to Isabella, my daughter. This is important for me. I guess I sleep well at night knowing everything's good.
Thanks, guys. I see another question here from Andrew. He's asking, if he doesn't have an existing IRA, can he set up a new account with you guys? If so, how much can he invest?
Yeah, so we facilitate, like I mentioned earlier, we're an all-inclusive platform here. So if you want to start an IRA with us, we'll absolutely do that gladly. You can start an account from scratch. I would, look at the different contribution limits, and that's dependent on your age. But yeah, we'll certainly open the door for you if you want to start an IRA account. Yeah.
And a lot of folks try to take advantage of multiple contributions also at those times that you can do through the year. It is still the $3,000 minimum, because it's really so that you've got these annual and setup fees and things to make it make sense. Our goal is, we've got another program coming out for folks that want to do incremental monthly contributions. And I'm sure we'll probably be having another webinar when that one comes to market here soon.
Nice.
And then the last question for this evening, Sandra asks, she lives in New York. Can she participate?
We wish, Sandra, right? Not quite yet, right? We're almost there.
Almost.
There's a DFS that's in New York State that has an additional licensing requirement known as the BIT license. Our partner and exclusive partner Vicco has been submitted to them for quite some time now. Everything go to order. It's just a matter of a document getting badge of approval, and we can open up. What I will warn folks is that even though we say no now, when we get to say yes, likely there's going to be a flood of New Yorkers coming out. But probably have about a couple hundred that are waiting.
At least.
So get yourself set up. If you're going to have an account, we can get the materials ready and be ready to execute very quickly for you, because it will expand really rapidly, and we can get you in the space.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all the questions I'm seeing here. I'm going to put up this final screen. Thank you all for attending. If we didn't get to any of your questions, or just want to speak to somebody here in the office, please give us a call at the phone number shown here. We'll also, again, email it to you after the event. And to get our 20% off discount, just mention the word webinar there when you call in, and we'll get you all set up. Lastly, we also send out handcrafted email newsletters nearly every day on what's happening in the crypto space. So you go to our website, you scroll down to the bottom there, you can enter your email address, and we'll go ahead and send you those newsletters. Just keeps you up to speed on what's happening every day. If the market's moving, you get alerts. It's really a helpful email. And then thanks again. That's it. Thanks again, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thanks for having us today. It's a pleasure, folks.
Thank you.